spilled it all over the floor back over there. Yep, she kicked it.
By accident.
She kicked it and it went flying, and coffee was everywhere, and we had a huge mess to clean up.
So now we've learned our weaknesses.
Yes.
You spill coffee, you throw the remote,
Yep.
and I trip over the cord.
Yep. Can you scoot back a little bit more this way? So
No.
kind of look
Very
more
dangerous.
unified family here.
Dangerous punch, though.
Yes. So how's everybody's week? We didn't get to ask you that, Tim. Good and stuff.
Good overall.
Well, the good news is because Tim, you're behind the camera, everybody can go visit the website and see who you are. You want to go help?
He didn't like that.
Oh.
Go grab his
Someone
bottle.
doesn't like the new
Go
website.
grab his bottle.
Okay.
Anyways, we finally launched up the website. We get a chance. We got some of the stuff that we had issues with taken care of. They were all done. We were able to wifey work till midnight that one night to put up Thursday night.
Wow.
Yeah, we had some stuff. There was some stuff. There was things on there. I'll kind of ran through it. If you can see the thing, if you're on Facebook Live, if you're on podcast, I'm so sorry. You can go forevergrace.org.
And Tim, we promise you're in this picture.
That's fine.
I know you didn't want to be up there, so they had to go to the website to see you. It's like a mystery. On there, on the website, there's various different things you have on there. It's very interactive. We try to make it interactive. There's more stuff we're going to be adding to it. I think I've mentioned to you guys is great bones and stuff to work off of, to add on to. That was the best thing about it. You can go on there and you can, of course, find us how you can visit us and join us in person. You can actually join us in person in the discussions. You can also, we have a questions and response page there where you can watch all the stuff, all the Q&Rs we have done. They're all there. You can actually go there. But you also can submit your question for a Q&R. If you have questions about something you've seen, you could be any of our podcasts, you can reference a podcast, you can do it anonymous or put your stuff on there. I highly suggest you put your email address on there because we will email you back to let you know when that question is
going to be responded
to. Yeah,
to.
when certain podcasts that we have and stuff, and we'll send you links and stuff like that. You can watch us here live, and then that Monday we'll email you out to say, hey, check out the podcast.
Online, we generally keep you anonymous.
Correct.
Or,
on the board and stuff. Yeah, we always keep you anonymous when the questions come up here. Unless you want us to, and you can mention that if you want to. Besides that, there's also opportunity to know us. You need to know us a little more. We're gonna have videos of us eventually, whenever we decide to. We got a busy schedule next month, I think, with stuff coming up. And Tim's gonna be ramping up because it's the holiday season and what you do for a living outside of here. We got resources too as well. The resource page has links to different other ministries and other stuff like that. We have the Bible Projects linked on there. We have the God Journey podcast that we all kind of enjoy here. We kind of like to share those. We also have, I think, Pericles' ministry. We also have Paul Young. Paul Young has his own little website. I think there was another one. There's like 6 of them, isn't it? Tim Mackey's personal website.
The Bible Project.
Yep, mentioned.
Which is excellent in what they do.
And Tim Mackey, we put Tim Mackey's stuff on there too as well because you can join in with your stuff. And just a hint, they just launched their season 5 of Bible Project, and they're going to be doing a live interactive discussion group, the first ever, and you can join in live on there. So yeah, you can check that junk out. He likes to do Bible classes. He believes that they should be free, and we should all get to know him together for free. And that's why they're doing this. They're going to do it, I think, every quarter, 4 times a year, which is really cool. And you can, if you live in the Portland area, you can actually join in those live in discussion. So just give you a heads up on that. Also, too, you have biggest thing is our podcast. You can go right on there. We actually have a playlist on there from Spotify, and you can go through all of them. It's updated on Monday, and it automatically updates on the website. But there's also there in there if you go there to Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. Of course, there's other many other streams. You can type us in, and we'll be there too. But at least if you're on your phone, you can go straight there. It'll take you right to your app, so you can pull us right up. And there's a link there if you want to contribute to the podcast. If you want to, you don't have to. I think the most you can contribute is only $10. So $1 to $10. I think that's the range that they have, which we didn't set up. It's what they have, and I don't care if you do or you don't. You know what I said? I think the last time I had to say that, Tim, you remember? I said, don't even give, didn't I? I think it was, yeah. This mean we put everything back into this and helping others. So just to give you a heads up with that. But we actually subscribe to the podcast and stuff. And go to the website. Oh, which is up there too. I don't think it's up there, and my arm just hurts. There's a blog. We actually have a blog. We have a blog come out once a month. One of us three here will be typing something up that's on our hearts or part of our journey that we have going on. Maybe it's something that Dad's dealing with us with personally, and we just want to share that out. You'll see that on there. You'll get, if you go on there, you can actually subscribe and you get automatic notification when it comes to email notification on there. We had the first one come up this last Friday. Yours truly, Joshua. That's my name, which I haven't mentioned yet. Tim was like trying to get me to say my name. I wrote the podcast, wrote the blog up called Won't You Be My Neighbor? On Friday was, if you didn't know, it was for the first anniversary of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood being out on broadcast on TV. So they had a big celebration. I know you saw the Google Doodle. Did anybody see that on Friday? Freaking amazing. And the message on it was so absolutely so beautiful. It made me grow tears and reminded me so much of the documentary, which we will get in discussion probably in November because it looked like
Well, we gotta watch it.
Yeah, we're gonna watch it all together. But did you watch it yet?
Not yet.
We watch our movies first, and then we talk about them.
That's fine. We're gonna have a discussion about that too as well. I think it'll probably November-ish time frame because I think we got everything filled up through October because I think two Sundays we're not here live, but there'll be a podcast up.
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out. I think I just kind of talked about that, how my expressions were, and there was 2 questions that generate from my heart about it, and I think it was beautiful, and kind of just went through the process of that. It's only like a 2-minute read. If you know me, I hate typing. My wife always sits on me. I don't like writing, so if you get something from me, you better go read it. I'm just saying.
And it won't be long.
It won't be long.
Yeah.
2-minute read. It actually tells you at the top. 2-minute read.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I'm not lying.
Oh, quick question. So the block party, is that on a Sunday or?
No, it's a Saturday. So
Oh,
that's okay. So that's different.
Oh.
Do it otherwise. So that'd be the stuff there. As for events we know of here locally, we had the block party here got rescheduled to October 13th, which will be here at the Quioccasin Station here in Henrico, Virginia. Please come out. It's all free. They have a bunch of stuff for the kids. Balloon animals, I'm reading the petting zoo, juggling, face painting, rock painting, fire trucks, sidewalk chalk, and children's music. And of course, all the shops here will be opened up to have open houses and stuff like that. I don't know what George. I think George is maybe doing something special for people coming in, discount and stuff like that too. We also know that Ridge Baptist Church
Yes.
is doing their thing in November.
It's called Ridge Day, November 3rd.
November 3rd,
At the time.
Saturday, and they're doing like the same thing. It's open. George is actually doing free haircuts over there.
It's in the morning.
It's in the morning time frame. All the vendors, so many different vendors are gonna be there.
So many.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A.
Oh, what was the ministry, the church?
Are you talking about Ridge?
Yeah, you said something about
Ridge Baptist Church?
no, the Muslim. Was it Muslim?
Oh, so it's Arabic Baptist
Yeah,
Church.
Arabic Baptist Church. As soon as I thought about you, I think you've been there. You
have? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
they're gonna be there.
Cool.
On that
It's
Saturday.
so many.
So many stuff. October is fine. If you're scared of Halloween, I'm so sorry for you, and I mean that. There's fall festivals, which is great. If you didn't know, if you're so demonized and all that stuff, look past it. There's human beings there who just want to love.
I challenge those who don't want to. They don't do trick or treating, whatever. I challenge you to go connect with people.
Yes.
Go out and connect.
Yes.
Get to know someone new.
This is a perfect time.
Yeah.
Because all these events and stuff that happens at this time are free. It's an opportunity to connect with people.
Yeah.
And if you think that it's Halloween's so bad, we don't be real. We don't even pretend our kids will dress up. That's not a big deal. We don't demonize anybody else who does. We just want to love on people. It's a perfect time to go out there and love on people and meet new people because everybody's friendly and you get some free treats as well. And most of the stuff your kids don't have to dress up to. That's what you're afraid of. So. Alright, back to the regular schedule podcast. Yes, so Tim missed out last week. He wasn't feeling good.
But I was still part of it.
But you're part of it. You were online, which was great because you were chiming in. 2 points, like I said, if you want to see what he looks like, go to our website, forevergrace.org. I'll keep plugging that. You can go see Tim, and he has his finger up at his mouth like this. Such a cute. It was a great picture. I think a great picture of you. We're going to continue. I keep talking because that's what I do best. We're going to continue our pain and hurt thing that we got going on here. We've been discussions and stuff. This is the 3rd week into this. We'll do a 4th week, skip a week, come back, and then skip another week. And we got a couple more to go through. I think 3 more because we're gonna add that one to it, and I think it's beautiful. I think it's a good way to round out the total discussion. But this came up because of you guys of Facebook on Facebook Live, podcast, all that stuff. We just thank you because you're the one who said you want to talk about pain and hurt.
Yeah.
Which is great.
I think, and last week we did
Lonely.
pain of like
Loneliness.
hurt with feeling lonely,
and then
being
losing
lonely.
somebody.
And it's interesting how they all connect because even with discrimination and being victimized, you can very much feel alone.
Yep. Yep. So this is the 3rd week. Obviously the pain and hurt discussion. And this one we're gonna focus narrow in to discrimination and being victimized. I think this is a very valuable topic because this one is very real just as much as any of them. I think right now and stuff is something that we don't like talking about. I think all these pains and hurts we don't like talking about. We suppress it. We don't like to talk about those. I think that's the biggest thing. This one's huge. I think we all have had some type of discrimination in our lives. I don't care what color your skin is. There's been some type of discrimination that's happened, and it hurts when it does happen. And if you want to know what being victimized is, it means somebody doing something wrong to you. Simple as that. Those are 2 big topics. I think we all can relate, and I think one of the biggest things we don't like talking about, and if we do talk about it, it's not a very positive way. There's a positive way, and let me say that. There's a way to express your feelings the right way, and there's another way to express the wrong way.
Yeah, I think many of us do not know how to express and do not know how to talk about these topics that are oftentimes deemed as evil or
Yep.
they have the stigma to them. So that even adds to it, and it's just not good.
And by the way, this last 2 weeks, I've kicked it off. Start off with my own little personalist.
Mm-hmm.
This time, I hand the baton off to you, my love.
Oh, really? So I start. Okay.
Yeah, you start.
Yeah.
I gave you one.
Okay.
I gave you a softball this morning.
Yeah, you did. Curveball.
No, the curveball's bad
Oh.
because I can strike you out that way.
You can strike me out really.
Yes.
I
We already proved that a couple years ago when we lived in Frankfurt.
I can think back to a particular situation where I was out shopping and it was just Grace.
Mhm.
Grace was little.
I think Nora was there too.
Where was she? I remember Grace
She
sitting
was a baby, like a baby. But go ahead.
Okay, well,
Either way.
I don't know. I for some reason, I just remember Grace sitting in the cart with me, and this elderly woman said something, and I heard her. She was like admiring our Grace, and you said Nora was there, but I don't remember Nora being there.
Anyway.
Anyways, she was admiring Grace, and she asked me if she was mine. Is that your child? And I was just like, oh my gosh, like yes. I remember. She asked me if I was a nanny. I'm like, oh, that's my child.
And you've been asked that
I've been asked
times.
that. Yeah, I've been out and about and asked that on more than one occasion, and it just, I'm a little like, at first, I would even kind of like question, gosh, do they really look like me? And I would be kind of scared to go out by myself because I didn't want anyone to, call the cops on me and think I'm kidnapping my kids, or even be treated in a way that was just not respectful.
Because you remember a couple months ago, remember the lady on the airlines? They thought they weren't her kids, and she had to try to prove that they were her kids on the airlines.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember us watching that, and I remember coming home. I think you might have read the article about it or heard something about it, and it came out, and you were just like afraid to go out, like by yourself without me.
It's interesting. I don't know. Like, if you look, I don't know. I can see the resemblance, but it's other people. They have a different.
They're looking at
skin color.
Just skin. Okay. Yeah. So, and even so with that hurt. And even growing up, I was teased in school, teased about the way I looked. So, and it affected, I think it did affect me growing up, and just some of the way I would do things, and, I see, okay. You know, I felt like I couldn't be me. Like, so if I'm not, in my mind, if I'm not doing or saying much right now, then you're definitely not gonna like me and, you know, what I do or say next. So I would keep a lot of stuff. I would internalize stuff and keep stuff within, and try not to interact with people, and just try to keep to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably other things.
Yeah. I mean, that's been real, because like, then we deal with our kids, because our kids are mixed between two different races, if you want to say, which is not even two different races. Let's be real. Like, your mix is completely. I mean, your background is absolutely crazy.
It's all over the map.
Yeah,
really.
and the same thing with mine too, as well, which is then funny, but then it's like we had to deal with our kids, because just be real. When I think it's great, because we're doing homeschool. When you go to school, they have to do these. They have to tell what they look like, their ethnicity, which I think is so stupid in a way. I'm glad now it's just an option, not a. I remember back when I was in school, it was not an option.
It was a requirement.
It was a requirement, and dealing with that, and they had to deal with them with what are people around them going to try to label them, and to let them know that not to be labeled, and stuff. I just heard groaning.
Yeah, Jada, and a grown man over there.
But yeah, I mean, it's a scary. It's kind of scary when you think about it, like, and stuff.
Is he?
No, he's fine.
Oh, okay. Whether you've been victimized or discriminated against, there's so many. It looks so different. There's not one. I don't know. There are common things to being a victim and being discriminated that people experience, but a lot. And then there's a lot of things that happen in those situations that are very just unique to that. So it's like you can relate, but at the same time you can't fully, I guess, comprehend or even feel what that person is going through. And I don't want to say it's for us to, I think it's important for us to understand, and most importantly to have compassion, but to learn something from that, because we don't know everything. We don't know exactly that person and what they've gone through.
Yeah. And I think, like, today, let's be real, especially when you look on Facebook, can actually have somebody have a conversation about any of these
without it turning hostile.
It doesn't. I mean, you're talking about being discriminated against or being victimized. It turns ugly. Yeah. I would say usually 9 times out of 10 it turns ugly. And there's some people in there that actually are trying to have a good conversation, and there's others that come in and spoil that. It sucks, and it's the same thing happens to us when we're face to face. It's like, can we actually have a discussion? Would you tell somebody? And I think that's huge too. Being discriminated against or being victimized by somebody, could you tell them how you felt in person? In a good way, and I'm talking about in the right way, without causing hostility to that person. That's and most of us go, no, I don't want to. I don't want to be in the room with them. I don't want to be face to face. I can't have a conversation with them. And I always say, and you guys say, I can do it. I'm gonna tell them how I really feel. Now, that's never good. When somebody says, I want to tell them how I really feel, that's never a good thing. You know, that's usually, whoop, just pump the brakes on that one, or as Deadpool would say, pump the brakes, Thanos, and stuff. But yeah,
a lot of people, and even including myself, did not want to speak on how do not want to speak on how they feel or even how I felt, because I thought, well, they weren't there, they don't understand,
yep.
and they're not me, so they can't feel what I'm feeling. So, but at the same time, I do believe now that in order to experience healing from being victimized and discriminated against, the person has to be heard, has
Correct.
to be listened to.
Correct.
And I think it's a two-way street. It takes the person with the ear and the person with the mouth to speak up, and the person with the ear to listen. So it's a lot of times it's at a stand. What is it?
Stand still.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't look good, and when there is, it doesn't turn out good.
And the funny thing is, what you just mentioned is what a lot of veterans deal with.
Yeah.
Veterans.
Yeah.
All right. Excuse me. 1 second.
Because they're saying the same thing. You weren't there. You don't know. You don't know what I experienced.
Yeah.
And well, share it with us. I don't want to.
Yeah.
If I do it, it takes me back there.
Yeah, and that's hard. But I do believe that we have to talk about it, and we gotta have conversations. Does that mean that we have to go out and do public forums and stuff? I don't think so. I think a one-on-one personal conversations is good,
Yeah.
and that leads to being able to talk outwardly in front of groups of people and stuff like that in larger gatherings and stuff, because the pain and hurt, you might, like we talked about the grieving process, it's gonna be there, but it won't be as bad. I think the first time, like, for instance, when my brother came back from Iraq, my brother he wouldn't talk to us about what happened. He lost friends, were killed in front of him. He even got shot in his own hand. I mean, like, this stuff happened. He won't talk about it. He still doesn't talk about it. I mean, that's just one thing. I mean, and then just think about it. It can be simple as being hurt. Somebody hurting you, that's being victimized. Somebody goes, they stole your watch. I'm just saying, that hurts. You've just been victimized, and it hurts. Because I will say this, I'll leave it out, because to me, it's hard. I totally agree with you, Jane. People tend to be naturally judgmental, and it needs to be right. Yep, I get that. We're very judgmental towards each other, and I mean that in a bad way. In a bad way. When you can tell me, correct me wrong, I tell you, being on the victim, and I've been on both sides, because even growing up as a kid, let's be real, I love women of a darker shade. That's just me. I got told to go like my own kind. Why don't you date your own kind? Like, there was crap that happened to me by people in my own skin color. Like, crap happened. But I've been victimized by people. We just had money stolen in our bank account.
Yeah,
Like last week, we had negative $6 because somebody hacked into our bank account and took all of our money. Like, we were a victim.
They're even.
Or victimized.
Yeah.
I want to say that. Pump the brakes on that one.
Unfortunately, there are some people in my side of the family that don't like this together.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
It's hard. So I think when that happens, there's a feeling of not being accepted. Even when somebody victimizes you, that they didn't treat you as a human being, and they saw you as something less, that they will then hurt you, and stuff, right? That's truly where it's just you've been discriminated against, or you've been victimized. Is being treated less than a human being by somebody else, and not being accepted for who you are. Now I'm starting to sound like Mr. Rogers here, because I just had flashes up in my head. But I think that's true, though. If you want to boil it down, that's that pain to hurt of not being accepted by another person. What in your case, and that hurts. Because I think you said it right. When you get hurt like that, you want to then close up shop and go, you're not coming into my house. And you start to live in your house by yourself with closed doors, closed locked doors. And you start to recruit yourself. And you start to just be by yourself. And that's what tends to happen. And one time, let's be real. This happens several times when somebody is closing up because it's something that happens. It's like you never actually, your pain and hurt's still there. It's never healed.
Or you know the saying, if you can't beat them, join them. It tends to go this way. If you can't beat them, don't join them and form your own.
Yeah, that's
alliance,
so that you can get together and so that you can beat them.
Correct. And let's be real. Then let's talk about that. When we didn't do that, when I don't feel accepted, I've been rejected because both of them are in the signs of being rejected as a human being. Then we go form our own group. Now what we do in our group, we say we're going to beat them. We're going to celebrate ourselves, right?
We're going to be against them.
Against them. But what do? We end up doing the same thing because we reject them as human beings. And it's funny how we end up doing that. And we go, well, this is good. But how's that good if you're not accepting another person? That's not good.
And then
we're back at square one.
Mexican standoff.
Yeah, and you have people clashing.
And it just gets worse and escalated. So
it's
not just back to square one.
Let's talk about that. If you want to get political, in the last two presidential switches, because there was 8 years and you had the next one, before each one, there was a group of people in America who felt left out, not accepted. And when that election term came, president election, what happened? They spoke up and they rose up against the other ones and they took power. Let's be real, right? And then you have that, and then you have another group of people who are then put down, not accepted by the other people who say, well, we weren't accepted, and then they don't accept them, and then what happens? They rise up, and then you just I feel like it boiled the last 20 years worth, or obviously more than that, 100 years so worth of stuff. You boiled up this past couple years, where now you have these groups are rising up, and now they're clashing. And it sucks. I mean, just to be here, it sucks to see.
I had said earlier that healing will take place when you have one person that speaks up, because it's a two-way street. In order, for one to even relate to or understand and have compassion, one needs to speak up and the other needs to listen. But I also think the one who is speaking up needs to allow the other person to listen and
totally agree.
And be who they are in that in that moment even.
Yeah.
Share their experience.
Share their experience, and I think you have a back and forth conversation too.
And not just I must speak my mind. You're just gonna listen to what I have to say, and
that does no good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what happened? Tim, you brought a good point, so I'll add to that. What tends to happen? We end up closing ourselves up, but then we end up turning into who hurt us. We turn into the same thing. When we reject another person. To reject somebody, period, is horrible. And that's what discriminating and being victimizing somebody is. You're rejecting them. It hurts. It hurts relationships. And you're doing the same thing. Because I'll be real. Back in my life, it's happened where I went on dates with women. And they will tell you, they will speak that good game to you. No, this is funny. Speak on this end. On the first date, like, oh yeah, this and this, they'll tell you call it, and they won't call you. That crap hurt. Like, don't tell me if you're not interested in me. It's better to tell me than sit here and go through the BS.
But even that also hurts too.
I'd rather have somebody tell me if they instead of me saying expecting hey, we're gonna go back out again, to them just rejecting me totally, not returning calls, messages and stuff. It's like, just tell me if you're not interested. I'm for real. Yeah, it kind of sucks in a way, but it's a whole lot better on that end than be where you're lied to, because that makes it worse.
Having expectations crushed.
So that happened to me. That happened to me about 4 straight dates. The 5th date, I took upon myself, and I didn't turn around. And it hurts so bad. I didn't turn around doing the same crap to them. Now I am taking it even a step further. I would sleep with a woman on the first date and then totally reject them afterwards. And they could never talk to me again. They'll check and call me and stuff like that, and they wouldn't get a hold of me. So I didn't take it even worse than what was done to me. And I think we intend to do that. And the pain is real. Let's be real. The pain is very real. It's what we do with it, because we can turn into the very same thing that hurt us and then become an even worse monster of it.
So what do we say to those, speaking of what we do with the pain and the hurt, and this is considered a loss,
Yeah.
being victimized and being discriminated against.
Well,
What do we say to those who are like, okay,
The hope.
I'm in a situation, I am a victim, I did not do anything wrong, or I've been discriminated against, what do I do
Okay.
now?
I think
How do I deal with it?
Yeah.
And I think people, do you think people sometimes being of the victim, you have people who stay.
We'll talk about that.
In that
I think we'll talk about.
situation.
We can talk about that. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
I think there's multiple things to realize when it comes to that position. And me and Tim listened to a certain podcast. We talked about the God's journey. We have it on there, and that, me and you talked about that Sunday when after we listened to it, and we're like, we need to talk about this. And sure enough, this is the thing that came from it. Be real. The podcasts were really good. I think the very first thing is to realize that He's with you. And the pain that you feel, He feels. And He's hurt by you being hurt. I want to preface that first. And also realize that he knows what rejection feels like. To be discriminated against, to be victimized against.
A man of sorrows. And acquainted with grief.
Correct. And that is huge. Now that's huge. And that makes us then be able to relate to Him. It's easy. It's funny when we get in these things. When you're talking about like getting in these groups and stuff, we pull away in the group because we like all of us been the same way, and let's rise up. That happens. We're able to relate to somebody who feels our pain, right? And it allows it to come out. Now, I'll preface this: we all can know what it feels like because we all been through it. Now, if we just have to realize that
We've all been through pain. We've all been hurt.
yeah,
before.
so we can all relate to that. Now, everybody's pain is going to be unique to them. We know that. You have to walk in their shoes their whole entire life to feel that. But we can relate because pain is pain. But that's huge. And that allows you then to, if you open up to Him with it, it allows the healing brain to come through. But we think it's just one-on-one with Him. That's usually done here in community. That's huge. That's really huge. And that's where it really begins. Now, the part of the podcast that got me and Tim is that our good friend Wayne, who was talking, said that he realized something one day, that he couldn't call himself a victim, right? He had trouble calling himself a victim in life. Now that means, well, you've been victimized, you're a victim. And his whole thing was, if Jesus paid for that too, like if he paid for you being the victim, He became the victim on your behalf, but He also became the victim on their behalf and took care of it. He goes, how can I now hold somebody against them who's done something to me? I'm not a victim anymore. I'm an overcomer. I forgot the term that he used.
Yeah.
And that was huge. He said that was huge in his life because I think that was a big part of him. I do believe he was still dealing with some of the hurt that he was hurt with in the church hurt still. As I think all these years, it's still there. It's a journey.
Yeah.
I think that actually helped him to bridge some of that a lot. You mentioned it a couple weeks ago. As I said, I don't forget. I'm an elephant. I remember stuff. You said, you brought up about Paul and Jesus confronting him on the road and made it to Damascus. Do you remember that? You said something there, and I go, that we'll come back to. Here we are. You said, Jesus said, why are you persecuting me, Paul? Now, let's stop and think about that for a moment. Paul was going out and discriminate and victimize others. And Jesus said to him, why are you doing that to me? Not to them. It was never to them. He said, to me. You asked that question. When I'm really doing it to somebody else, am I really doing it to them? Or am I doing it to the one who loves them?
Yeah. What did Jesus say in the scriptures? Someone who who's visited somebody in prison, fed them, clothed them, all these other things. He said, when did we do that to you? If you've done it unto the least of these, you've done it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes up to your part.
And it also, you feel, when something happens to our children, when they get hurt, we feel
The pain.
we feel that.
What happened to Nora yesterday?
Oh my gosh. By accident you stepped on her finger.
No, I didn't step on her finger.
Oh.
Okay,
Okay,
as
what
we're
happened?
going up the hill, she tripped as I was pushing the stroller. She literally tripped, finger went right on the wheel. It was like just so instantaneous, right? Her ring finger, and it cut her finger, and it literally cut, and she was crying. You could feel the pain, right? It hurt. It hurt her. It hurt us. It was bad.
And even like if somebody says something that's out of line or just downright rude, disrespectful to our kids, you're saying that to us. You're saying that to our parents because
You're connected.
right, we're connected.
Now let's take that in further. If they're saying that to you, they're saying that to me, Tim, because we're connected.
And our friends, I mean, we've experienced this. We've actually experienced it. When someone says something to you about your best friend, you take that personally because it's like you're saying that
To me. Yeah.
That's my best friend.
And so just rear that back a little bit because I think it's good. I think we need to kind of go back. I felt like there was an urge to come back a little bit. Let's go back to the part. He knows what it feels to be rejected. Now this is a journey. That I think we quickly just went over the journey portion where you go. Now this is a crucial part, is to realize that he knows what it's like to be rejected. He feels the pain that you feel. He's hurt that you've been hurt. If he could take it, I love this. The word God.
What does it start with?
Shoot, I forgot the word. The Hebrew word. The Hebrew word. There's a word there that means to take upon yourself. So, for your wrongdoing, Jesus took that upon himself. Like that's funny, right? I forget the word. If you remember, God, is he endowed with our sins? I think it was something like that. The word there means I take responsibility for you. That's huge. Now, let's be real. So he knows what it feels like, and that's a huge. I think that's the first one, right? We have a two-way street that we can go. We can then go, you know what it feels like, and move closer to that. And if we end up going the other way, we can continue to act as a victim and try to still be a victim in everything we do. And everything we see, I'm spoiling the podcast from this week. Everything we see everything as being the victim. You're victimizing me when they may not be. And that's I would say a bad road. It's a very hurtful road for yourself and the others around you. I want to preface that per se, and it hurts. But the other side is very beautiful because, like when I'm saying there is that he takes upon him, he took upon him your rejection, right?
And their rejection.
Their rejection of you is a rejection of him. So he takes it upon. He bears it. Both of them. So he takes responsibility. Listen. So Tim, you victimized Korea, right? Now there's a consequence from that, and Jesus goes, "I bear the consequence." That means I take responsibility for the consequence. You put it on me. You don't go after him. You go after me. Now that's interesting. That's beautiful, because now that means, as somebody being in the victim chair or being victimized in the chair, you can now come to him. Because he bear the consequence of it. He says, "Come at me." He could bear it. That's what I mean. That thing is bear. To bear it. That means come at him. If you got anger towards it, it means come at me. Come at me. I can take it. Come at me. That then takes it off of you. And that begins to help repair this relationship. I think that's the bridge. You coming closer to him, knowing that he was rejected, and the feelings and stuff that he can relate, and then he wants to take it a step further. I think that step further then becomes, I think what Jane said, talking about forgiveness. That forgiveness is huge. Because now I can forgive you because I have been able to be healed here. Because one, I've been forgiven by this man, this God. Now I can forgive you freely as well. But it helps you that moment, I think like Wayne said, he started seeing that Jesus paid for them too. He took them too. They're included. And it starts to mess with your head. And he wants to bring you to that part. So it starts with healing your wounds, and I think the healing the wounds is that part too. It's seeing them in that same light.
As a victim at some point in their life.
Yes.
Too.
Yes. And I think that comes down with him saying, I bear it. If I'm angry at you, I'm gonna express out to you, God, to you, Dad, to you, Jesus, to you, Holy Spirit, and they go, come on, come on.
So what God is saying by Jesus through Spirit is that He takes responsibility for you who has been victimized and discriminated against, and He takes responsibility for the one who has victimized and discriminated against you, and He works it all out for good.
Yeah. He takes it. What's the word? He takes responsibility.
In the Hebrew word.
Yeah, he takes responsibility for it. I think that's beautiful. Which he doesn't have to. I think that's beautiful. But he did. Why? Because he loves us. And that's the only way that you and I can then be connected back in relationship. Because we think that he's so just about him and us. Tim and you and him. No. He wants this too. He doesn't just want us to be relationship with him. He even cares even more, I would say.
Relationship
Here.
with others.
Yeah. Us connecting here. When discrimination and victimization happens, it hurts this here. And he's out to repair it. And that hurt like crap, by the way. Woo! I need some ibuprofen. But he wants to repair this. And that's why he goes, I'll take full responsibility. And that to me, he then makes it, Tim, you said before, we don't wrestle with flesh and blood. Because he pulls it out. He took away our victim card. So then we can then have a relationship. Because if I had the victim card, I'm always going to play against you, and there will never be a relationship repair. But as soon as he takes away that, takes responsibility for you being hurt, and takes responsibility for you hurting me.
When the person realizes.
Yeah, but listen. If he takes responsibility for me being hurt, but then takes responsibility for you doing the hurting, how can you play the victim card? Yeah. You can't. And that's beautiful because it then allows us then to repair the relationship.
So what do we say to those who feel very angry about what has happened to them, feel very sad about what has happened, and because they feel that way, they heard about healing before, and they think that because I feel sad and angry, I must not be healed because I want to react to what I'm feeling in a certain way, that may not be may be looked upon or not good, then I must not be healed. And I think that some people who feel like if they feel a certain way, then those feelings need to be completely gone, which means they're healed and they can actually finally move on and forward. And some may feel like, well, there's really no hope because I still feel it's been 5 years, it's been 5 months, and I'm still feeling like I am.
And to kind of answer that in a sideways way, one of the things that we talked about was, what do you do if you're the victim? Well, let's flip the coin. What if you want to help someone who has been victimized or discriminated against?
Yeah.
A lot of times we want to try and fix the person or fix the situation. You can't do that.
Correct.
I hate formulas, just putting that out there. This is it isn't a formula, but it's a way to kind of remember what to do. It's called Larry. First step is listen. And listen means actually hear what the other person is saying. Not listen to them, sort of, but you're trying to respond to what they're saying. Don't do that. Actually listen to the person, then give a response. Next is to empathize. Next is to empathize with a person, which means not just understanding the idea of how they've been victimized or hurt or discriminated against. It's empathizing with them, understanding what that is. When that's done, then you can develop a rapport. That way you can really connect with the person. And that leads into influence, which leads towards healing.
Yeah.
So that you actually, because you develop this relationship, even if you already have a relationship with them, you develop this in-place relationship.
You're getting closer together.
Yes. And even if it's just at that time, because there's relationship developing that happens over time, and there's relationship that happens in the present, where you develop that. And when you do that, when you get into that rapport and the person understands, I'm not just intellectually getting what you're saying, I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what you're going through. And I feel it just like it's a hurt to me.
Correct.
When the other, and the person who's been victimized or discriminated against, they know the difference between someone who's just like head nodding and someone who really understands.
Correct.
And that's when you can help them along their road to healing.
Correct.
Because most of the time people who can't get over that, it's like what you said, they haven't been heard.
Yeah.
And they can only be heard if they speak. And they can only speak if they feel safe.
Correct.
That the person is actually listening to them.
Exactly.
Those are all in, I see it as like what you were going through, like the listening and empathy. They're like all important ingredients, but it won't work if you don't have a relationship with that person. And a lot of us try to fix people, try to pray things away, and you don't even have a relationship with that person. That's what really irks me, where, you know, people, they just want to come around you, or they only want to talk to you to try to fix you. They don't want to have a relationship with you. They don't want to really have a conversation with you.
And,
I call it dive bombers.
Yeah.
Because
You said dive?
dive bombers.
Okay,
like the bombers who they drop their bomb, they leave.
Mm-hmm.
They want to come in, dive in, drop what's needed, and then take off. Because they don't understand the value of a real, lasting relationship. Because relationships are messy.
Yeah.
They take time.
They take time. They're messy. They're, you have to deal with emotions. You have to take part of who you are and literally die to interact with that person. You have to give up what you want.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that. We do not.
And I would to answer to respond to what you said. We always switch on everything. When you say I'm still feeling that way, let's be real. A scratch if you get a scratch, is it going to heal quicker than being sliced open? Which one's going to heal quicker?
The scratch.
The scratch. All right. It depends on how deep the hurt is. Let's be real. Let's be real. It could be years, and it's a journey. I think that's the part. It's a journey. Don't set a timetable for yourself to try to say this is going to be healed. I think anything we talk about when talking about healing, don't put a timetable to it. Just let it go.
And those who haven't experienced what they've gone through, don't try to set a timetable for them.
And you might be able to answer this one more, but like what you said, when we listened to a podcast, which is probably about 2 or 3 months, or 2 months. I think it was a month. I think it was a little sooner than they normally were releasing them. But when Wayne was talking about that, you tell me, how long ago was it he got hurt really bad from the church? It's been years, hasn't it?
About 15, 20 years.
15, 20 years. And I can tell you that thing was really about his healing from that. And not all of it, but some of it. There was probably more, I think it was probably more, the more personal it is, the deeper the wound seems to be. And I think for him, that was huge. And you're talking about 15 years, right? 10, 15 years, that's a long time. But yet he was still dealing with it.
because of the betrayal
Yeah.
that
It
was there.
Yeah.
He had basically started a church with someone, and he went out to go talk about his book and do other things. He came back and found out they voted him out of his own church.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you're talking about that. You're talking about that later where he realized something. And he got into the first part of it. That was relating with Jesus and then coming to Dad and the Holy Spirit with it, the pain and going through that. Now there's a second hump to that. Is seeing the other part where they're being taking responsibility for the other person for what they've done. And then that then bridges the second part. And you talking about that, it's going to get to that second part. That's a wow. And that's okay though, because that's his journey. And I can tell you, he's never talked bad about them and stuff. He's always talked good. But I think that was the helping force for him to go it sounded like the rest of the way with it. And so if you're hurting still like that, that's understandable. It depends how deep that wound is. It's going to take a while, and it's still going to feel hurt. It's still going to hurt. If you have open heart surgery, it could be months, it could be years till you're back to what you were post surgery, right? That's the same thing about it's the same thing about emotional and mental hurt. It can take a while, and I think that's where you said patient. Us being patient with each other in that, not trying to quickly microwave the solution, but allowing it to heal.
Yeah. And it's okay to do it that way.
Yeah.
Most of the time, we are trying to microwave it and things like that, but it's okay that it takes time. But it's ironic, a lot of times the choice of healer tends to be the same person that wounded you.
Yeah.
If you've been wounded by authority, most of the time God will bring someone in authority to walk alongside and help heal.
Yeah.
Women who've been wounded by men, a man coming alongside to help.
Because that's what's needed.
Yeah.
He knows that. That's a repairing relationship.
Exactly.
Big time.
And vice versa. For
Yeah.
men who've been hurt by women,
Yeah.
same thing.
Excuse me.
Oh, you too.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens. That's what I said. We talked about that before. How he takes us back to places we've been hurt at. We saw in the shack. Remember? We saw. If you want to say that's fiction, no, it's not. That is a real story. If you want to say it's a very real story. If you look at William, Paul Young's life, he's telling his journey. I mean, that's really his journey, and it's true. He takes you back to where you were hurt. Like you said, if you were hurt by a man, he's going to bring a man there, or he's going to bring someone there, and it's building that. Like you see the movies all the time because there's something there.
Yeah,
he does it.
I remember kind of thinking that I wasn't good enough for someone who was of a lighter shade than me, and
now I give you 3 kids.
Here you are. I think it's interesting what you said, that we were talking about how the pain and the hurt that we go through is, we can relate to it, but it's also unique to that individual and to that situation. Being a victim and being discriminated against can feel, to some, it can feel like a cut. Are you the nanny? Like I got asked. I was like, oh, that's silly. No. But for some, if they're asked that question, it could feel like a bullet went through their leg, and it hurts. The intensity of the pain is much more. And that, I think it could be a similar situation, but the pain could be more or even a little less.
And a little bit of that is because of Constitution. Now, our friend Zach, he's built, right? If I were to give him a shove really hard, wouldn't bother him, right? But if I were to do that to you, it might wound you. Does that mean he's better than you? No. It just means that in that area of physical strength, he's strong. And what we need to do, and that's what it talks about in Scripture too, is building ourselves up in Him. Not in our anger, not in our frustration, not in any of that stuff. In Him, and in our relationships with each other.
Correct.
And in that way, it's, you know what? It doesn't matter. You are awesome. You're an awesome mom. You're a great caretaker of your children and so forth and so on. So that when something like that comes up, it's like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because you've been loved up. All of that has been built up. So when things like that come, it's just ding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean the person's been victimized less or discriminated against less.
Yeah.
No.
Just because the pain, the intensity of the pain is different for everyone, you know.
And I'm gonna take it before we have to close up in discussion. I'm gonna take
shivering because
yeah,
it's so cold.
yeah. It's only we get airflow in here because we can't open the door because more likely in case kids come running out, it'll drown out the mic here. Which I'd much rather have fresh air in here anyways. I'm gonna take it, and it might sound controversial, but it's okay. Let's take a look at the person who did the discriminating and the victimization. I want to say something there. What you will always 100% find is that they've been discriminated against or victimized themselves. If we want to classify them by what they do, we're doing an injustice to their healing. And if we want to see change in that person, is that we have to get to the root. And the root is that what they're doing to you is something that's been done to them. Like we'll sit here and go, well, you know, if I know that I'm loved, then I can love. Well, yes, that's absolutely true. I can accept because he's been accepting me. I can accept. I can forgive because you forgive me. Right? We look at that. Let's look at that. I've been hurt. I can then hurt you just the same way. Let's be real. Let's be real. And let's stop looking at it. Look at what we see today. Look at what we see. And we want to attack those people for what they're saying and what they're doing. But that is not doing anything good and helping them to change. Because what you're going to find out is that root is the same. It's the root that they're throwing at you.
Hurting people hurt people.
Correct. They are hurt. And that comes in the second half of your healing portion. Is the realization, the perceptive that they are hurting themselves from the same thing they hurt you with. And you'll find that it is crazy to sit there and think about, but it's true. What we end up doing to somebody else is what's been done to us. That's why God said, you can love one another just as I love you. You forgive because that's what's been done to you. Now you can do it.
Because you've received it.
You received it.
You can't give out what you have not
Correct.
received.
If I have received discrimination and have received victimization, I'm going to in return that out. Unless it's healed. I'm going to do the same. And that's what that person has been done to them. It's been happened to them. And I think if we want to see our nation here, which is just, I feel like there's the bigger divide than it has ever been, personally. But this like this in other countries. It's all like this all around the world. Let's be real. If we want to see that gap not be there, is that we have to then step across the line and realize that they're hurting and take that effort to help see them heal. Listen, Ray, or you're Larry, you're Larry to them,
Yeah.
and realizing that you know what pain feels like. You know what pain feels like, and that is a relation that I can relate to because I know what pain feels like. It hurts,
Yeah.
and then that allows me to open up and listen to you
For relationship.
and I think that's what we absolutely need. That it hurts to be victimized. It hurts to be discriminated against. It hurts, and your pain is real. But there's hope and healing, and there's hope to then bridge that gap with the person who's done it to you. I think that's one of the biggest things. I'm still so reminded of Martin Luther King's his speech, because that speech he did 1 month until he was killed. It still just it rings in my head. If you don't know, I'll say something. He talked about go ahead and put us in jail, and we'll live. and beat us up and leave us for dead in ditches. And yet, it hurt, but we still love you. Like he's still saying, you put us in prison, we still love you. And he kept on saying that, he goes, in this we might win our freedom from being hurt like that from you. But we may win you. That speech is absolutely just amazing to me from a man who was being discriminated and victimized. To sit there and say, you can keep coming at me. You can see his journey. Look at his journey. He wasn't always there. But towards the end, he was. He got it. I'm going to love you. Because he'd been healed. His perspective had changed to the people who were hurting him. He goes, what you need is love. So ditch it at me. Have fun. Go ahead. My hope is that I could, I'll win my freedom, but most importantly, I want to win you. And I think that's where it comes down to.
It's like that U2 song, In the Name of Love.
Okay. So, if you got anything, you want to close that one? Before we have to get ready for the barbershop. And kids are waking.
I think it was a really good discussion, and it's always to be continued.
Yeah.
Just like the journey continues and the healing process is still happening for all of us and all of it and those outside these four walls. Yeah. But it takes time, and it takes understanding and having compassion and seeing God for who He truly is, because in that you get to see the other person. You get to see that they're a human being that you can actually relate to and understand.
Yep.
And you start, and a lot of us ask the question, why is this happening? Why am I experiencing what I'm experiencing? When we get to know Him, God, we start to understand, like you said, that like y'all said, hurt people start to understand them and why, what we're going through, and what we're experiencing.
So I want to I think it's a great way to leave off. So if you have questions, comments, you can keep going with the live feed, but you can go to forevergrace.org, go down to the Q&R section, submit your questions. And if you have questions about this topic, please do, because we probably will do a Q&R afterwards. After this stuff is all wrapped up in November, we'll do a Q&R. Come back to it so we can talk about some of the stuff, what you got going on and stuff like that. So we encourage you to do that. Leave your email address so we can let you notify you when it's happening.
And
next week is going to be lost childhood or divorce. Choose.
Let's talk about. Let's do lost childhood.
Lost childhood, and then we skip a week and we'll come back for divorce, and then skip a week and then come back for the last one, which I still haven't given a title to.
And whatever else after that.
So tune in next week as well for lost childhood. Let's go to that. That's talking about that could be all kinds of stuff with that, which could be more relevant for what we just heard about what happened in Pennsylvania a couple weeks ago.
And I'm pretty sure this will have you can see a connection with this, and they all connect.
To each other.
But so we just want to say that we love you. We care. We're here. Enjoy the new website. Please submit your questions. Have fun, and know that He loves you. And so with that, I see a little rising curly haired girl.
Whoa, she's standing up in her chair. Sit down, please.
With that. We always got to ride on music. That's what we do. We love you. Subscribe to the podcast as soon as you can. Peace out.